Welcome to Next Step Advanced Sketching Techniques. Today, student, we are going to learn how to sketch out a photorealistic kid's birthday scene. I am borrowing from my memory within this scene because when I was a child, I only went to one birthday party, and it was a colleague, a classmate that I had at the school, and I was able to go to his house, and there was tons of other people there in my class, and my grandmother and my grandmother's friend accompanied me. All right, let's get started. First thing we want to do is we are going to draw a little table. This was a picnic table. And this is where all of Chase's birthday presents were. And all of the kids brought a birthday present for Chase's birthday. I believe that he was 10 years old. When you draw a picnic table, you want to make sure, especially for a wood picnic table, that you get any knots. This is where the expertise comes into play. This is what separates the novice sketching technique from the advanced next step sketching technique. So you can see we've got some knots in the wood because wood has knots. And picnic tables do not float in the air, correct? Correct. They need legs. So we're just going to do two stretched squares and then two smaller stretched squares in the back to give the illusion of 3D. This is going to have the same appearance as a photorealistic photograph. Now I remember, and you can borrow from your memory and tweak this a little bit or sketch along exactly as I am. I remember there was a ton of gifts at this birthday party. We'll do a few here just to, when I got here, I was really out of my element and did not have much wherewithal. I thought the presents maybe were for all the kids coming. I really wasn't sure the features of a birthday party. It's something that I was not privy to, and some of these presents were kind of wrapped, like I think this was a remote control car. So now we're going to do like a Christmas ribbon, which these have some adhesive tape on the back. If you lose that adhesive tape, you can always heat up some milk. I wasn't allowed to use glue, but I found that you can heat up some milk and evaporate the water part, and the part left over, which is the I guess the oxygen, you evaporate the hydrogen, can be turned into glue with a little elbow grease. All right, so maybe we'll do some more presents here because he did have a lot of presents. We can do stacks of boxes. Now, when you do stacks of boxes, you want to honor reality and you want to honor physics as well as the 3D environment. Now, this took place outside this birthday party, so now we're going to do a series of lowercase i's without the dots. And I think I know your next question. What are we going to do with all the dots? We don't want to waste the dots. I'm going to show you. You can also do grass with two upside down joined V's, but this kind of grass is more like a Bermuda grass. And occasionally you'll have a weed coming out, so you want to just draw a little darker shading because nobody has a yard without any weeds. In fact, this kid had hardly any weeds. We have a lot of weeds in our yard. Weed, W-E-E-D. It's just another word to describe plants in your yard that are weed-like, that need to be weeded out. I had multiple teachers during my elementary, middle, and before I dropped out my high school days that said the class would be better if I was weeded out. And I don't understand the meaning of a lot of phrasing like that, but I suspect I have some aptitude, or I would have had some aptitude as a gardener. Something I've longed to do in addition to trying my hand at being a clown. Now that's a good segue we're going to jump right into a clown. There was a circus clown here, which was actually Chase's dad, and didn't look like him. It was kind of scary. He had this poofy wig on, unless his hair was naturally red, which I guess is possible. Now, I don't use the color red in my drawings. I don't have anything against it per se. I just don't use it. So we can draw the word red. That's okay to do. That's all right. The brain is not going to be able to tell the difference. When you look at that, or your art taster looks at that, they're gonna see red. Chase's father, or we'll just say the clown. The clown had a eyeball and an eyebrow, two of them to be, if we want to be accurate, and he had a lip. And his face was painted in this whimsical, vapid, wonderful coloring. And he was kind of serving two jobs at once because he was manning the grill. Something I was told to never get near because it generates heat. All right, and then for the grill, we're going to draw looking from the back. We can't see the front of the grill, so this is the grill turned up. And then a grill's going to have 4 legs to stand on, and there's going to be some smoke coming up. Oh, we need to draw his, maybe his clown shoes. Now, they were kind of big, so we can draw them going under the grill. There. Oh, and maybe we can just darken this part of this shirt right here. All right, there was a house, because this took place in the backyard of my classmate's house. He had a house with power and electricity. Just going to scoot this down so you can see it. And his house was very big. I wasn't allowed to go in the house. I guess that was Chase's rule. Only, he said, people in the cool club, not really understanding what the cool club is, because this was not swimming weather. This was in the fall. I would not need to cool down for a, I don't understand. Maybe that's why I wasn't invited in. There's probably a good reason, and I need to think about that. And then I probably will reach out and apologize for not getting that, for not understanding what the message was that day. Anyway, I had to hold it. My grandmother and my grandmother's friend were in attendance, which we certainly will sketch. And they did not say, they said if I had to go to the restroom, we would just leave and go back to our home. We had sort of a home too. Certainly wasn't this fancy. When you're drawing shingles, you want to draw a series of stretched squares, which are interlaced, interspersed. And I'm making it look easy. I'm not doing this out of arrogance or spite. I don't have contempt for my audience. It's just that if you do it as long as I have, and you have the genetics, then it's going to be this easy. So we've already done the whole roof. And have you ever seen anybody build a roof in 30 seconds? Well, well, now you have. And over here was a kind of like a few chairs, like metal chairs. And these were for the attendees to sit in. So we're going to draw a couple of those. And for a chair, you want to do a rectangle, which has 4 equal sides. And you want to have gentle corners. Unlike the de Havilland Comet, you certainly want rounded corners. And maybe we'll do one more. Now, I don't think I could fill the page, or I think there's not room on this page to fill all the people in attendance that day. But nonetheless, let's keep going. Now, there was a huge, I've never seen a window this big, but his dad must have been a rocket ship traveler, because you could look. I kind of peeked in to their house, and boy, oh boy, they had some nice stuff. They had a color TV that was like a large. It's called a large screen TV. And a lot of the time, and this is Chase, by the way. I'm drawing a picture of Chase for you. A lot of the time of the party, the kids, including Chase, which this is Chase, he had short cropped hair, were making these silly faces and banging on the window. And I would glance over because I wasn't sure what that noise was. Turns out they would react whenever I looked at the window and laugh even harder. So, truth be told, the inspiration for me wanting to become a clown was this day when I realized that I had a knack, N-A-K, or excuse me, N-A-C-K. It's just another way to describe someone who has a certain skill better than most other people. Like this guy, I don't remember his name from school, but I do remember being stimulated. They call them paper balls. And so I remember feeling some paper balls in my hair from the back or near the scar region. And I think that's because kids will goof with you. And if they like you, they'll goof with you. So I would go home with a few paper balls. And then, so we can't draw noise and we can't draw sound in drawings. That's one of the things I want to stress to my students. But what we can draw are sound lines. So to draw the knock, you want to draw a thumb on the inside. The thumb's going to be your largest finger. And then we're just going to draw a series of noise lines or sound lines. Sound lines and noise lines are almost the same thing. There's a slight difference. We can go into that in another video if you'd like. All right, and now we're going to draw myself, yours truly. And my hair was perfectly parted. Every strand of hair was accounted for on my head. I would spend hours in the mirror making sure before I left the house that every strand was in place. I did shave a little bit lower down to kind of mimic as an homage to my grandmother's friend. And all men and boys are going to have Adam's apples. These, my friends at the birthday party seemed to really like my short shorts. I must have heard a billion times that day, hey, I really like your short shorts. Hey, my dad likes your short shorts. Hey, can we call you short shorts? And I wore shorts that went just below the groin area, just enough to cover up the unmentionables. I don't want to go into detail. This day I had a tank top shirt on, and it had a cool logo of a camel puffing on a small cigar. I think they're called cigarettes. I was able to acquire this from my grandmother. She had a friend and said I could wear it. And then I did have sandals. So when you're doing shoes or sandals, you want to make sure, pay attention here because you want to get the toes right. All right, there I am. And then over here in this window, like I said, this was a big house. This window right here, the girls invited to the party. This girl, I believe her name was Sandy, and she had sandy hair. and nice cherry red lipstick. And she was also banging. Once I guess she got wind of my antics and how I could amuse the people, so we can draw some more. But they were yelling something. There was a bunch of girls, I guess of friends that stick together through thick and thin. And this girl, I'm just doing a ponytail. I think her name was Bridget. And this girl had an interesting name. It was Melba or Shelby. And so they were also knocking and yelling things at me, and I would stand up and show my short shorts and bend over. They'd ask me to bend over and dance. And the clown father wasn't getting as much attention as I was. And I think that's why he stared at me. He pretty much kept his eye on me the whole time. Now, not so much my grandmother or my grandmother's friend. Now, behind the house, there was a kind of a yard, and then there was a driveway or pathway, walkway. The driveway was here. Notice how I'm doing these lines just so. And then there's the yard. And of course, this was during a sunny day. So we're going to draw the sun. Sun, S-U-N. It's just another word to describe the bright ball of energy that is close to our neighborhood, our Earth. The sun happens to be within our solar system. So the sun and the earth share the same solar system. Likely a coincidence, but nobody knows for sure, because who was alive those thousands of years ago when the first remnants of the earth and the first ashes of the sun appeared? No one knows. All right, so we've got the sun, driveway, and the road. Please don't be jealous of my memory. It's taken me years and years. I do remember there was called a spigot right here, and I think that's what they were yelling through the window, spigot, over and over and over, banging on the window. And I think they wanted me to go rub my head in the spigot and mess up my hair as a goof, as a silly whimsy. And it did drip a little bit, but I didn't want to do that for risk of alienating my grandmother and her friend. My grandmother and her friend were standing off to the side, and they got some attention too. They really, they seemed to get some stares from the kids and from Chase's father too. Oh, remember my grandmother had this beautiful long hairs that she cut a hole in the top of her ghost costume that she would wear everywhere except for Halloween. And she hairsprayed it so every strand was up, almost like a vase filled with these nice, twigs or wheat. And she did wear an oven mitt, but only on one hand, and she kept that hand inside. The other hand would briefly come out. And remember, the thumb is going to be your smallest finger, and it's going to be located on the inside of the hand. You want to redo this if you can't do this right. Very, very, very important. Now, it's not that my grandmother did not have legs, correct? Correct. It's that the zoomed in feature of this camera prevents us from seeing her legs. And then my grandmother's friend, who I certainly consider family, taught me so much. We will sketch him now. And I was honest to my subscribers, to my students. I was a little jealous of his hairstyle. I could not do this. One reason I had a scar in the back, the hair wouldn't grow there. If you'd be interested to learn more about that, just visit my family music night scene and you can learn more about that. But he grew out the hair right in the back here, and he had long hair, similar to my grandmother, but his was just longer and flowing like the wind blowing on a windy day. And he had 2 nipples. a nip pair, if you'd like, and he wore cut-off jean shorts. I think this day he was just, oh, and he also had a big old belly button with these magical hairs near. This day he kept his hand in his pocket and the other hand near his rear end. That's just how he stood. That's just how he was. I believe he was looking for some burgers. Speaking of burgers and food, there was a table set up, like a folding table. And this is where the birthday cake, and if I remember correctly, the theme was Star Wars. I've never seen Star Wars. It sounds like an astronomy make-believe kind of show where there's Darth Mater and almost sounds like Tomater. Darth Tomater and all sorts of crazy characters. I'd like to see them one day, but I wasn't allowed to watch that kind of thing. I was able to occasionally watch things like, well, there was a show called Autopsy that my grandmother's friend and my grandmother were really into. I could watch that. And oh boy, did my grandmother's friend love the movie Seven. He probably watched that 1 billion times, not just 7 times. And I was able to, just from living with them for so long, able to catch pieces of that and eventually put it together as a kind of a telltale piece of a heartbroken individual who just is misunderstood. You know, there's a birthday cake. But again, the kids were more interested in communicating out here with me, and they also were interested in my grandmother and my grandmother's friend. One of the girls had asked, is your grandmother's friend part of the show? And I still don't understand that question. She's not a movie star or a TV star, but she certainly has the talent to. She loves to listen to music. My grandmother's friend did play pots and pans music. He could have been in a band like Bon Jovi or Buster Poindexter, the Spice Girls, any of the West Coast or East Coast rappers. You know, he could have done any of that stuff because he was so talented. He could fix anything too. One time the ketchup wasn't coming out of the bottle, and special night, ketchup does have sugar. I was able to have my dessert and the ketchup. And he was able to somehow do this almost, I called it a magic trick. Use a little warm or hot water from the sink, which I wasn't allowed to use hot water. Hey, dangerous. Want to burn your skin much? I don't. So I wasn't allowed to. But he was, because he was a man. And he was able to get the ketchup to free flow again. So I was able to put it on my waffle. We didn't have French fries, so I'd cut my waffles into the shape of French fries. The waffles were typically frozen, or always frozen. We didn't have a way to heat them up, so you just let them sit out. You could try to cook them in the oven. I wasn't allowed to do that. My grandmother wasn't allowed to, or wasn't going to do that. Quote unquote, waste their time on me. And certainly I get that. When I have a kid, or if I'm lucky to have a kid, I plan to perpetuate or carry on these lessons that I learned. That's called progress, folks. You learned a little something, did you? Well, that's why I hope you're tuning in, not just to learn how to sketch in the next step advanced level, but also to learn a little humility, to learn a little bit about life. If I remember correctly, there were a few clouds in the sky that day. Maybe there was an airplane, and actually Chase's, I overheard this. I wasn't spoken to directly, but he said that his daddy's friend flew in that plane, and I said, well, Mr. Chase, which got a laugh. I wasn't even trying to laugh. Mr. Chase, can you let me fly in that plane since you know that guy? And he said, pretty loud, he said something like, you will never fly in that plane for as long as I have 2 testicles. And then, of course, the girls and boys laughed. And Not sure what, again, not sure what he meant by that. Probably just a gentle humor, something about flying high altitudes. Maybe does something to the private area. I'm really not sure what he meant. One of the kids brought me over a present that they had wrapped for me, and let me just say, I don't want to go into too much detail, but it was just a silly prank. And now we can't smell drawings. There's no odor in drawings, okay? So we can draw smell lines, and smell lines are not similar to action lines, but they're in the same ballpark as impact lines. And this had the smell of some, like a poopy smell, similar to the tissues that I would use to eat off of at dinner time, or a lot of the time. So this is just representing that smell. It was really stinky. I did open that up, and boy, did that create a laugh. So I think that's why the father doesn't like me, is because I got more attention than he did, dressed as a clown. Interestingly, there was a little puddle right here from where the water was dripping, and I was asked to go put my short shorts in it, and I did. And boy, my grandmother and my grandmother's friend had turned away for a minute to run out to their car, and when they came back, they thought I had an accident in my pants. And that's when I was whisked off back home. Pretty much he drove as fast as this aeroplane right here. And I was disciplined for that. I was disciplined, I'll be honest. And so I've learned not to do anything which could confuse my parents or my grandmother and my grandmother's friend into thinking that I lost control of my bladder. So certainly glad. I'm glad that's over with, I guess. But like I said, within this house, there was like a big screen TV, and there were books and tons of toys. And I did take the wrapping paper home because I thought it was sweet that even though there was a prank inside, that they thought enough of me to do that for me. Oh, and of course there were hamburger patties here. And there were hot dogs. I was able to sneak a chip or two. Please, that's a secret. Well, how would they know? But my grandmother's friend, they enjoyed a hot dog. In fact, if we can here, we're going to add a hot dog to my grandmother's hand, because, boy, she must have wolfed down 2 or 3 of those puppies. And my grandmother's friend actually, he was offered food, but he didn't eat. I don't think anybody wanted me to eat, and I think the reason is I was doing too much of a good job entertaining everybody. I think I kind of, quote unquote, stole the show. All right, so now we're going to do a little outlining. So go ahead and grab your emphasize markers. You have 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to draw the table here, picnic table, where all the gifts were. Boy, that would have been nice to get gifts. Did you get gifts when you were a kid? Tell me about it. Put a post in the YouTube comment. Tell me about what kind of gifts that you received. There we go. And we don't want to sketch in everything, but we will sketch in to emphasize certain things here. These windows must have been as big as, gosh, our whole bedroom size, our whole den, living room, family room, sunroom size. Well, we didn't have a sunroom. Our sunroom, well, we had a sunroom, but it was just going out the back door. But I was always told to tell people we had a sunroom. All right, now we're going to color our beautiful photographic quality photograph sketch. And today I've chosen the color yellow. It's my favorite color. I'll hold it up here so you can kind of see what it looks like. And I do have some of these ink displacement devices for sale. Can you see that? Good. These are expensive. I have these for about 250 bucks a pop, but they last forever. All right, well, what's yellow? This is my favorite color. I'll tell you right now. The sun's yellow, for sure. Hamburgers can be yellow. Birthday cake fire or flames. Last time I checked, those are yellow. Ketchup, or pardon me, mustard on hot dogs is yellow. Weeds can be yellow. Present bowls are yellow. I believe my short shorts that day were a blue or a yellow. I can't remember. Some of the books inside were yellow. Oh, there's probably some mustard on Grandma's dog. Yellow there. Her oven mitt or mitt she wore, I believe, was yellow. My grandfather or grandmother's friend, as he got older, within a few weeks actually, got very yellow. We're going to do a hard stop. Are we going to color the lips yellow? No, we're not, advanced Sketcher students, because the lips are a cherry red. But notice I am coloring yellow below his jean shorts because his legs are skin. People have skin, and his skin would have a yellowish hue to it. Correct? Correct. All right, anything else that needs to be yellow? Maybe Chase's dad's shoes were yellow. I believe they were red or yellow. They're very similar colors, so it really doesn't matter. I believe the grill, or a lot of grills, can be yellow. All right, I think we're all finished here. All right, folks, so there you have it. We have a photorealistic photograph sketch of a childhood birthday party scene. And this is kind of borrowing from my memory and what I experienced as a young child, maybe 10 years old. Had a lot of fun that day, had a lot of memories. Certainly will remember that day for the rest of my life. Well, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask a question or post a comment in the YouTube chat forum interface log network system function, and I will certainly get back to you. If you were unable to achieve the advanced skill you see here today, the elite sophistication, just the overall elegance of this drawing, and I say that because if you were to show this to a person on the street, you would be hard-pressed to have them distinguish this from an actual high-definition or ultra-high-definition photograph. But keep trying, don't give up. It's taken me a long time to reach this level. And some of it is genetic, but a lot of it is practice. Well, as I always say, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Goodbye.